Hi Emma, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
For those of you who don't know what you do in the sector, are you able to share with us a little bit about how you help and support childcare and education professionals?
Definitely. Presently, I'm the founding director of the Essential Education Group, which is an auditing, consultancy and training company in the area of SEND. Professionally, I'm a teacher and a psychologist. I've been in the space for over 25 years, so I've worked with a lot of children in a lot of different ways. And I don't know if it's just part of my personality, but I'm always drawn towards children who may have some type of barrier to learning. That may be emotional, that may be learning-wise, and that's probably the psychologist in me. So that's the kind of what I do at the moment. I support schools to understand their children more effectively. Yeah.
Wow. I think that psychologist in you, I think that's definitely something when we caught up a couple of weeks ago that we were speaking about. And if you could just share with us a little bit about psychological safety and what that is and really how providers can create psychologically safe spaces.
Yeah, I think psychological safety is so important for all of us. You know, we go into places, we want to feel like we belong, we want to feel like we're going to be safe, we want to feel like we are connected to what's happening around us. And that's the exact same thing for our young children. And I think sometimes when we have children who are different to the main cohort, that psychological safety question needs to be thought about a bit wider. We need to think about it just a little bit more. What does this environment say for this young person? How safe do they feel in this environment? The environment itself is a safe environment, but how safe is it for a child that thinks differently or feels differently or experiences differently? How safe is an environment when a child doesn't communicate like the rest of their peers or others? How psychologically safe is that environment for them? And psychological safety is about creating a space that's unique to an individual and understanding that we all need that sometimes. Sometimes we need to get away from the milling, we need to get away from the noise. We need to have those moments where people understand that about us. We all need it. And some children just need it more often and in more different ways. So psychological safety for me is, do we know what this young person needs to be connected, feel like they belong and feel that they're safe?
It's great to see the way that I think the sector's really embracing SEND requirement and some of the creative ways that they're providing solutions for children. I think even here today, they've got places where you can go and you can spend some time, you can unwind, you can relax, you can go and find that quiet zone and almost sort of decompress a little bit because it is a busy day, isn't it? There's lots going on.
It really is,
What do you think, when you look at the actual creating of a safe environment, we know that can involve things from like the recruitment process, learning and development, the building of policies and procedures, as well as like the actual physical space itself. Is there any particular area that you've come across where you see people sometimes overlook it or they underappreciate how important or impactful it can be?
Most definitely. I think all of those factors are definitely the starting point. But I think one of the key areas that seems to be missed quite a bit is sensory. Our sensory world, how that impacts us, how all of us, by the way, and some people just have heightened sensory worlds. And that's really, I think, one of the areas that is spoken about, but not fully understood. You know, when a young person's coming into your setting, maybe presenting differently, do you actually go out of your way to find out what their sensory understanding of the world is? Because I actually think that's one of the key factors that stops learning and progress and also emotional safety for a lot of our younger children. And I think that's really a key thing for for early years practitioners to go, actually, do we know enough about this young person's profile? Do we know enough? Not always looking for this for OTs to do it, not looking for other professionals to do it. What resources do we have here to say that we can understand this young person's sensory profile? And then how does that feel in this environment? How can we make them feel safer? Now, that's not about reducing everything because the world isn't like that, but it's about understanding it. And if we can understand it, then we can make adaptations. You know, we hear about reasonable adjustments and all of these things, but actually we just really want to understand what's going on for this young person's body. Why will they be safe in this environment? How can we make them safer? And I think that's really a key area. I think another key area is communication. We all communicate in our own way. We're all quite clear about what we want to communicate and how we want to communicate. But when we've got people in our world that communicate differently, do we go out of our way to really, really want to connect? And that's the other piece. Are we going out of our way of settings to really understand our children's communication style? Are we creating communication styles? Are we making sure that all of our staff are trained in Makaton, in aided language, in PECs? Are we ensuring that there's a clear approach in this setting that says we will teach you to communicate as well as you teach us to communicate with you? And I think these are really key things for early year settings.
Absolutely. I mean, communication is vital at any stage of life, isn't it? But in that early stage of life, communication, it's how you learn, it's how you can tell people how you're feeling, what you're experiencing. And you're absolutely right. People communicate differently, people interpret things differently. And I think the word that really stands out is understanding. And I think when you look at that process, are there any resources or any places that people can go that can help them really understand those varieties of communication styles and communication techniques?
We really need to be able to understand where communication is and how communication develops. I do a lot of work around this because what I find, and this is not against any other professional, is that a lot of speech and language go into school and they give schools lots of lovely resources. But what's not always clear is this resource right for now, for this child now? And that's the piece I think that staff do struggle with sometimes. And I think going out there and finding people like myself that train in these areas, a speech and language therapist that's willing to train in those areas is a really good starting point. I think, I was on a panel today and was with Catherine from Dingley's Promise. They have some amazing resources as well. So going out and finding out what these steps really are. And a little thing that I also say in my training is that child development is child development. We all need to understand it. Don't get me wrong. We need to know it. But we also need to know the things that are a little bit more abstract, the little things that with speech, the one thing that's really, really key is sharing attention. And sometimes this isn't always known and understood by early years professionals. So we're trying to share all the visuals and we're trying to share these pictures, but actually this young person's not sharing attention yet. So are we getting underneath that? That's an abstract concept for us, but are we getting underneath that to give that right foundation and building block to speech? And it's understanding those stepping stones, I think, and getting that resource in around other professionals that can help you.
And it's that progressive building of learning and development along the way, isn't it? Yeah.
Some children pick those things up so automatically that it's abstract to the rest of us, but actually it's a very concrete thing that needs to be learned before children can move on. So yeah.
I think that looking at sort of like the building blocks of learning, it's a great thing, because one thing that I'd love to sort of hear from is over the time that you've worked with the childcare and education sector and the different variety of roles and experiences that you've gained, what in your opinion is an area when it comes to creating inclusive environments and being able to cater for children with a variety of different types of requirement and need, where is somewhere that you think that the sector's done a great job of adapting and adjusting and making forward progress?
I think the sector is just an amazing place. I always say when I see people that work well with SEND that we're at the cutting end of education, because if we can get it right for a child that learns differently, we can get it right for all children. So I think most practitioners are really willing. That's where we're getting it right. Everybody really wants to do something, and I love that. And I think the best places I go into are those that are really challenging the culture. We really want to do this. That's the first stage, to be honest. Then the second stage is really understanding the children. And again, events like this, talks like I was a part of, getting all the good resources together is that other stage that needs to be and is happening to develop practitioners in this area. So having the culture that says, yes, we want to do it, having the culture that says, I really want to learn about it, I think are some of the amazing things that go on in early years. And then really caring for the children, really caring for the families. We have such a heart towards children that that's a really key thing. I think sometimes the frustrations come in, we're all human, but it's just about how we get up each day and say, actually, no, we're going to do this right, we're going to try again. And I think that's what this sector is amazing at doing.
It is, isn't it? I mean, I think you're hard-pressed to find a time where you can go into a room with somebody from the world of early years and not come out feeling inspired, feeling energised. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working working with a company like Morton Michel that supports the childcare and education industry for nearly 10 years. And it is by far and away one of the most energising, inspiring and impactful places. Everybody here and everybody that plays a part in supporting the sector, I think they have such a passion and a joy for helping, for supporting. They really love what they do, and that shines through every time you get the chance to talk to them. So I definitely agree with with the effort that's going into it from this sector. And I think it's such a positive place to be. So thank you, Emma, for taking the time to sit down. It's been great to talk to you today. Thank you again for sitting down and taking the time to chat with us. One last question before you go. What role do you think events like Childcare and Education Expo play for the sector?
Oh, it's an amazing role. As you rightly just said, the energy. You're going to come out of here today and we're going to have learned so many things and we're going to want to go and apply it. And I think that's just really, really key. We need to be around other people. We need to be outside of our settings. We need to be connecting. And I think that's what events like this do. I think also the thought processes that go into the workshops, that go into the people that are speaking, I think that's really, really important as well, because most of those people see a wider view of the sector and they're bringing those thoughts to you. And I think, days like this are just so edifying as well around how people are doing their jobs and how they feel around each other. And I think it's a really, really key part of what we do each and every day. So I'm glad to see lots of people have come out for it today.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Thank you.